Hi, so welcome to this week's Retvlog. Now, we're going to be looking at the Tier 21 bonuses. At the moment, they still haven't swapped them round. The 2 set is still going to buff our Judgment, and the 4 set is what means that when we use Judgment, so it's all very much based around Judgment, we get 1 holy power knocked off the cost of our next spender. So I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be looking at some sims that I've been doing on my character. Obviously, it may be a little bit different for your character. But first, just a reminder that next Saturday, that is going to be the 11th of November, we're going to have the live Retribution Paladin Q&A. For those that are new to these, I do these every now and then, usually around once a patch or something like that, where we just go live. Everyone can just ask whatever they want, discuss whatever they want. We'll just go through it all live on my Twitch channel, which is there, twitch.tv/Thete Gaming. That's going to be next Saturday at 7 PM UK time. We're back into GMT now that the old daylight savings has gone. So I'll see you then. So on to today's topic then. So what I've done is got my character. On my character at the moment, I'm using 2-piece tier 19, 4-piece tier 20. It's round about the same as using, you know, some off pieces and 4-piece tier 20. So I'm not totally involved in my 2-piece tier 19. I may even switch it out at this point because I've just got some slightly better off-piece shoulders as well. But at the moment, the bottom line is that when I sim my character on light movement, you know, for a single target boss with a little bit of movement, then I'm simming at round about 1.5 million DPS. For a 5-minute fight, this is usual, or just standard settings on Simcraft. So what I tried out is I tried out a few things. I first of all tried out, let's say that I just go up to using 2-piece tier 21. So what's going to happen? Same talents as I'm normally using at the moment, which the key one, obviously, Final Verdict, you know, Zeal, Blade of Wrath, the usual things, Crusade, of course. The legendaries I'm using a Chain of Thrain and Soul of the High Lord. You know, again, if I'm going to be using a 2-piece of one thing and a 4 set of another, there's no point in simming with the Cloak, Whisper of the Nathrezim. You know, what is the point, really? So what I'm finding there is my DPS is going up to about 1.55 million. It's about a 3% increase. The other thing I will just point out here is when I've upgraded myself on Simcraft to using the tier 21 sets, I've kept them at the same item level. So I'm not saying that we're completely just testing the set bonuses because the actual pieces themselves will have different secondary stats. So sometimes I might be losing a bit of haste, sometimes I might be gaining some crit or something like that. But with the same talents and everything, just getting the 2-piece, but still retaining the 4-piece tier 20, but 2-piece tier 21 is giving me a 3% increase in DPS without even taking account of the fact that that tier 21 might be higher item level than what I'm currently wearing in those slots. So then what I thought is, okay, at this point, you know, tier 21, there's potentially a case to be made for using Greater Judgment now, because Judgment itself is going to do more damage, our Mastery is going to be worth more. Let's go with Greater Judgment. So then what I find, same parameters, exactly the same 5-minute fight, light movement, exactly the same gear as I've just simmed. And it's now going to be a 3.4 increase in DPS. So that's a 0.5 extra increase in DPS compared to using Zeal. So Greater Judgment over a 5-minute fight, pure single target, is looking better than Zeal, for example, with that combination. So now what I'm saying is, okay, well, you know, certainly if I'm going to be using Greater Judgment, the benefit is very much Mastery. It's also moved away from crit a little bit as well, it has to be said. But I've only got so much choice in my gear. I haven't gone, when I've simmed this, for, you know, a desirable set of gear. I've gone for the gear that's actually in my bags. I've been saving stuff up. So I've swapped a few things round to try and increase my overall Mastery. So I've got myself, with this set, about 44% Mastery. You know, more would be better. And I'm choosing the slots so that I keep Mastery in as much as possible. So the next sim I did was for 4-piece tier 20 still and 2-piece tier 21, but using the slots that maximize Mastery, using other off-pieces that maximize Mastery, and still using Greater Judgment. Now we're looking at, compared with the gear I'm using right now, a 3.9% increase in DPS. So this is, you know, using the extra mastery has increased my DPS still further. So the old mastery there is very much on the cards. You do want to be saving those mastery pieces that you're currently getting and rolling your eyes at. If they're high item level, keep them because you will want to use them. And then the final thing I did, because the real issue is the 2-set bonus is just better than the 4-set bonus. What they did with Nighthold when this was also the case is they swapped them around. So I'm fully expecting, I'm still sort of expecting them to swap around the 2-set and the 4-set. But they haven't done it yet. BlizzCon's on at the moment. They're not really gearing up for that. Next week, I was saying to someone in my guild actually about releasing stuff next week. You know, they're at BlizzCon, they're partying at the moment. The only thing they're going to be releasing in the next week is their bladders. So, you know, anything that they do is not going to be happening at least until the end of next week. And maybe the week after, at which point we're sort of thinking Antorus is going to be coming out. Please, God, no, I haven't even killed Jaden yet. So what I did is I said, let's say they just do that, because that's an easy fix. They could just swap that round. So let's say I have to use the 4-piece tier 21. So I went for 2-piece tier 20, which doesn't include Blade of Justice giving me 3 holy power, and the 4-piece tier 21. And I found that, okay, and I still use Greater Judgment, I still use Mastery, and I found that that was actually a reduction there. But it's still a 3.1% increase in damage on compared to what I've got now. Remembering that I'm not going for higher item level pieces. It's the same item level pieces as the tier 20 pieces or tier 90 pieces that they're replacing. And yet, 3.1% increase in damage there. So the ideal for us is that they keep the set bonuses as they are. Because that's going to give us the best. In which case, all we really want is 2 pieces of tier 21. I'm going to suggest probably the gloves and the legs as the 2 pieces you sort of want. In terms of the kit I've got anyway, that's maximising that mastery. We want to maximise the mastery. And maybe even considering, depends on your haste levels, swapping out a few gems or enchants for mastery potentially. But make sure you've got a comfortable amount of haste, you know what I mean? Potentially sim that as well. Now, that's for single target. Now, what about when it comes to Beast Lord type situations? Well, when it comes to Beast Lord, there is a slightly... And the Beast Lord, what I mean by Beast Lord is, you on that sim, it's like when it's mostly single target. But every now and there's some, again, there's some ads coming in. Again, you know, Greater Judgment in these situations. What we're finding is, or what I'm finding is, that using the 2-set tier 21 and 4-set tier 20 is giving, rather than a roughly 4% increase in damage on what I've got now, it's giving me a 10.3% increase in damage. So whenever there's ads involved, obviously the combination of more mastery, Greater Judgment, and that 2-set bonus means that we're going to be getting a load of extra value from that current 2-set bonus at the moment, that extra judgment damage. It doesn't actually vary a huge amount if they did swap it around and we just had to go for 2-set tier 20 and 4-set tier 21. Doesn't matter a massive amount. Until, of course, we go to Hectic Adcleave. So for Mythic Plus dungeons, then yeah, again, it's worth about 10% if we have the 2-set there. If they swapped it around to the point where to get that judgment damage we needed to go for 4-set and could only have 2-set tier 20, then that's looking about 1% less. It's looking at about 9% increase in damage for me, which is still quite a lot. It's still something we really want. So in terms of what we want right now, if Antorus was to come out as it is now and they didn't change anything, and your guild is asking you which tier pieces do you want, what you'd be saying is that my 2-set is very strong, I want the 2-set ASAP, I can hang about for the 4-set. Because you're not going to be in any great hurry to get the 4-set, if indeed you are at all, until the item level itself makes it better than taking your 2-set tier 20, if indeed that happens. Or indeed, if you wanted to use Whisper of the Nathrazim, or for whatever other reason, we're using a legendary that occupies a tier slot. So in terms of how it feels at the moment, I've got the 4-piece tier 20, so Blade of Justice is giving me 3 holy power when I use that. So this is the normal setup that we've got here. So that just feels as it feels at the moment. So what we're going to do is just try it out with 2-piece tier 21. because at the moment that's all we'd really need. If they keep the set bonuses as they are, we don't need 4-piece tier 21, 2-piece tier 21 plus 4-piece tier 20 will be absolutely fantastic for us. So again, Blade of Justice is still generating those 3 holy... Right, Divine Storm proc there. All I'd replaced, I'm at the moment using the tier 19 2-piece, but even if you're not, there's nothing really changed about the rotation in terms of how it needs to be, because all that's happened is our judgment damage has exploded. Obviously that does mean that we're going to want to use judgment as a higher priority ability, so the APL can change a little bit. But in terms of how much downtime we have, unless the pieces we use reduce our overall haste levels, which they have in my case, then the set bonus itself doesn't actually affect anything. So what might affect it, regardless of secondary stats, of course, we switch up to the 4-set tier 21. So let's say they do change our set bonuses around, as I still expect, even though they're leaving it now till what seems like the last minute. So 4-piece tier 21. So this is only 2-piece tier 20. So what we've got now, I've still got the 2-piece tier 20. So that means that when I use Judgment, the next Blade of Justice, you know, is going to or Blade of Justice is going to do more damage. But now I've got the situation where also, because Judgment is really the core of everything now. So not only is it buffing the damage of Blade of Justice, but also the next Holy Power spending ability I do is reduced by 1. Now, that's actually quite good. It's better than a proc, you know, randomly causing a spender to need 2, because you know that if you've used Judgment, you'll soon get into like the mindset of knowing that the next spender you use will just use 2. As I say, it's not like you've got this weird, it's not like the set bonus gives you a weird proc where you'd have to track it to know when 2 holy power is enough to use a spender. You know that if you've just used Judgment, then the next one you use will just use 2. So here we go, use Judgment, use that. I know that's going to go down to 3 because I wasted a holy power there with Blade of Justice, but I'm still wanting to use Blade of Justice a lot. So I mean, the way it feels is fine. I wouldn't concern yourself with that. Some people have expressed concerns about how the rotation will actually feel. It'll be a little different, only a little different really. Just prioritise that Judgment. Also, in terms of your set bonuses, we're going to be prioritising Mastery, as I say. But in terms of how the old thing feels, it still feels fine. So do remember that the sims I've used are just for my character personally. I haven't put in any other Antorus gear, so the trinkets I've used are the same ones that I would use now in Tomb of Sargeras, which are not necessarily the trinkets you're ideally wanting. Ideally, what we're going to be wanting is high-level stat sticks, quite frankly, in Antorus. So getting the Legendary will be really good, but good luck. You know, you can't expect to get that. If you get it, good luck. If you don't, well, you're not exactly unlucky not to get that one. A high-level Arcano Crystal, something like that would be great. Or even a stat stick with 1 secondary stat on it, especially if it's Mastery or Haste, would be pretty good as well. So keep using your Veiled Argonite, I would say, for trinkets, hoping for some stat stick that's going to be suitable for you. If you're going to be using Greater Judgment, bear in mind it's going to devalue crit a little bit. It's not making crit useless, bear in mind, because although Greater Judgment means that your Judgment automatically crits, you know, above 50%, it doesn't mean to say, you know, other abilities are still critting. Judgment isn't all of your damage. You've still got Templar's Verdict and Divine Storm and things that can crit as well. And also, don't forget that the live Q&A is going to be on next Saturday, the 11th of November, 7 PM UK time on Twitch. I'll see you then. Follow me on Twitter for updates on that as well. If you've got any questions, if you know you can't make it, but there's some questions that you want me to bring up in that live Q&A, put them down below as always. If this is your first time on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like and comment as well. And until next time, I'll see you later.